Hello, welcome to StrangePlay. My name's Simon.
I'm Rik.
Today we're going to be talking about a game called Evil Within 2, developed by Tango Games Works and published by Bethesda Softworks. So, what is Evil Within 2?
Did you play the first one?
It's on my to-do list, which is incredibly long. So, I know it's a horror game, but aside from that, I know nothing.
Okay, so it's by the guy that did Resident Evil and Resident Evil 4. Is it Shinji Mikami?
Right.
And it's really weird. So it picks up, I'm assuming, after the first one. I haven't played the first one, but I had no problem getting into this because it kind of explains things as it goes along.
Right, okay.
But you play as a guy called Sebastian Castellanos, and he thinks his daughter's dead. But then this woman approaches him, and she's like, your daughter isn't dead, she's here, we've got her.
Right.
So there's this company called Mobius, like this big corporation that kind of like rule the world sort of thing. And they have this thing called STEM, which is essentially the Matrix. So you get plugged into it and there's like a virtual world almost.
Right.
And it turns out that your daughter is being used as the core, like the thing to keep it stable.
Right.
Because it's sort of built up of consciousness or something. And she's gone missing within STEM. And in this, it's a town called Union that was created for, STEM purposes. Mm-hmm. And she's gone missing in STEM.
That will explain that, like when you watch the trailer, it zooms in on his eye and it's like an iris, Joe, like a mechanical iris.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't know that. That's interesting. It takes place in like a digital realm.
But the thing, because it all takes place in like your mind essentially, because you're jacked into this like virtual world, they use it as an excuse to do some really, really weird stuff like all the time. Like you'll run into a room and there's nothing in there, then you turn around, but where the door was, there's a corridor. Right. And then you run down the corridor and turn the corner and like you're in a different place entirely, because like one of the enemies, like one of the big bad guys, he like twists it and turns it and stuff, and it's really cool. Like it's really interesting.
So yeah, it sort of it plays with your mind, because like the thing is with a lot of games, you sort of, when you're moving around the map, you sort of making a map in your head, like you're drawing it out in pencil or whatever. Whereas with this, it's unsettling because you try to draw it and it's just constantly moving, like it's like shifting sands.
Oh no, like for the main part, everything stays the same. It's just like set pieces almost.
All right, okay.
Like you go into a building and that's where like the bad guy is, and then he's fucking with stuff, so the building starts shifting around. But when you finish it, the building goes back to normal.
Right, okay, so it's like temporal.
Yeah, basically. That's a good word for it.
So, like, is it more... Do you know, in, like, the older Resident Evil games, with the Nemesis in it, where, like, you had to run away from him, like, you couldn't really fight him? Or Silent Hill, where you come up against Pyramid Head, and it was, like, there were no option to fight. Is it based around that sort of scare factor, or is it more akin to something like Alan Wake, where you have to face up to the things, that are presented before you?
Bit of both. So I think they're called the Lost,
right? And
they're essentially zombies. So ammo is really scarce, but you can find things like gunpowder and stuff, and then you can create bullets, but you can only carry so many. So it's not like your inventory system in games like Resident Evil, where you can just keep carrying bullets and bullets and bullets. You can carry like 14 at first, and then you find a pouch, and then you can carry like 24. And
so there's a progression there with your weapon system.
Yeah, but even as you're progressing, you can still only carry up to like 40 bullets or something like that in your handgun, and like 15 in your shotgun or something. So it does like limit what you can carry, so you can't really run and gun.
Is that to stop you from like relying on one weapon? So like sometimes you'll have to use your shotgun, sometimes you'll have to use your pistol, sometimes you'll have to use like whatever other weapons it gives you.
I think it's because they've created a really nice stealth mechanic.
Oh, so it's actually, there's essentially, you can hide if you want to, like you can sneak around.
Yeah, so there's a really nice stealth mechanic in it. You can crouch and walk around, you can hide around corners, you can sneak up behind the Lost and execute them.
Right.
And whenever you kill a Lost, they'll drop green goo. And green goo is essentially experience points.
Right.
And then you can go and visit this nurse and you can upgrade yourself. So you can choose to put it into like combat system, you can put it into agility, you can put it into stealth and things like that. And if you put the points into it, you can unlock something in stealth where you can stay around a corner, and when an enemy comes toward, you can reach around the corner,
right? Okay.
and like execute them like that.
Yeah, it sounds like Metal Gear's like context sensitive thing. Like you could press against a wall, and when they come close to like inspect, you could sort of like grab them, and get them in a chokehold or whatever.
Yeah.
Very similar. Very similar.
Yeah, and it's really gratifying to do it as well. Like I played most of the game, I tried to stealth it, and it was just really cool. Like it's a really enjoyable system. But something that they do that's really interesting, to get back to your question, is you'll come up against bosses, and once you've spunked all your ammo, if you stay in the arena and run around the arena, bullets do spawn.
Right, okay, so you're not totally high and dry, it's throwing you a lifeline.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But after you've done it, and as the game progresses, certain bosses, at least 2 bosses that I can think of, will just start patrolling the map.
Right.
So you have to hide from them again, and that's where kind of like the Nemesis Pyramid Head comparison comes in, really. Because you do have to fight them at first, but then the other iterations of them later on down the line, it's a really good idea to just avoid them because they are bullet sponges.
I've got a couple of questions.
Yeah.
One is, you mentioned that you had like a gun holster, for carrying more bullets, and then you mentioned the XP, the green goo. Are they running like parallel to each other, or are they a separate thing, or are they all one upgrade tree?
No, they're different things.
Right.
So the way it works is, for your XP tree, that upgrades Sebastian and his abilities. So that's how you get more health, that's how you get more stamina.
Right.
That's how you can hit harder, that's how you can run further, how you can stealth better.
Yeah.
Then you can find weapon parts and go to a workbench, and then you can upgrade your weapons.
So it's the separate systems.
Yeah. So you can upgrade your weapons to carry more bullets in the chamber at once, so they're more accurate, so they hit harder. But there's agents of Mobius who are inside, and they're all fucking dead. And you find their bodies,
right?
And their bodies will either have like bullets on them, but sometimes they'll have patches which allow you to carry more ammo for a specific weapon.
Right.
So if someone has like a handgun pouch, then you can carry more handgun bullets.
Right.
So that's more bullets in total, but when you upgrade your weapon, it's how many are in the chamber. So like, if you have a gun that can have 6 in the chamber, but you can carry 10 bullets, then you found a pouch that lets you have, say, 20 bullets. You can still only have 6 in the chamber.
Right.
Until you upgrade it.
I have a question about weapons. So, you mentioned about chambering and stuff like that. There was a mechanic in Alan Wake, which is really, really... I'm surprised a lot of games didn't steal it. But, you know, like, when you get a revolver,
yeah,
you have to put each bullet in. Well, they've basically farmed suspense in that game by making you tap the button to feed in. Has it got something similar to that, or is it just a standard, like, X reloads or square reloads or whatever?
Standard square reload.
Man, that's surprising, because I think with this sort of suspense style thing that they've gone, with that mechanic.
It's a little more action than suspense, I'd say.
Right.
There's some really good scares in it, and there is like really good tension in it, but as far as the action goes, it is about getting through the hordes and stuff.
The scares, is it like tension scares, like atmosphere, like Silent Hill, or is it like pure jump scares?
You can tell it's by the dude who created Resident Evil, basically.
Right.
There's a few jump scares. There is really good atmosphere and really good tension all the way through, and like the ambient sounds and stuff are really good. Like playing it with headphones on, it was really quite tense at times.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the scares got me once or twice when they were jump scares, and then there was like sheer panic when like there'd be a room of enemies or something, and you'd creep up to one of them, but you'd miss the execution,
right?
Because they'd turn around and see you, and then they'd go like, "Ah!" And then all of a sudden you've got 5 of the fuckers chasing you.
Yeah, it's an escalation of terror. It's just constantly building.
And then you start running out of ammo, and then you're like, "Well, shit, what am I gonna do? Because I still need to press forward. I can't go back and make more ammo because I've just spunked all my gunpowder on that batch." And that's where the tension comes from, through like the management systems.
It's like worrying about how you're going to progress because you don't have the materials to go forward. Like, it's sort of getting harder for you because you've used your bullets or whatever.
Yeah, and even though I never ran out, I was always able to get past an area. Well, I was never stuck for something because of the stealth mechanic, and then in the bosses being able to find stuff. But it had that Resident Evil 4 feel, do you know, where you've always got enough, but it's just enough.
It's hand-to-mouth gameplay.
Yeah, and it was really effective, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So, like, the enemies and stuff, did they have any special, like, mechanics to them? Like the, I don't know, the clickers in The Last of Us? Do you know, where it's just like an insta-kill if they get near you? Or...
Yeah, there's a couple like that. So you've got your standard Lost, which just walk around like zombies, basically.
Right.
I don't know if it's set or random patrols that they do, because sometimes they'll change it up a little bit, but then when they attack you, they just attack you until you're dead, basically.
Right.
Then there's these really fucked up things. They're like really tall and covered in green gas, and they're like making these horrible noises that I was about to do, but I'm not going to because I don't want to embarrass myself. But they just make this awful noise, and if they see you and run at you and catch you, they just vomit acid on your face, and you're just dead.
That sounds like Dead Space 2 a little bit.
And then there's these like really weird things that kind of look like if Cat Dog was made of people. Like it's really weird. It's
like
got
an ass-to-ass human centipede.
Yeah, that kind of like scuttles around on its arms and screams and roars. It's just like, it's really weird. But I found out that you can one-hit kill them as well, because there's something that's really nice. Some enemies will carry axes, and if you kill them and pick up their axe, then that's a one-hit kill melee. It doesn't have to be a sneak attack. You can just run up to them, crack them with an axe, but it's a one-shot.
Okay.
So when you hit it, it breaks.
It breaks.
And I found out that if I crouch down next to these like weird dog things and smack them with an axe, they're fucking dead.
So is it a linear progression, the story? Is it an A to B sort of game, or do you end up backtracking like the Resident Evil games?
Bit of both. It's over 17 chapters, and you've got like the whole of Union to go around basically, and you'll get objectives, which is like go from here to here, but there's little side missions that you can do as well.
Right.
So if you wander off the beaten path, you can find side quests to do. There's statues to collect, or like smash and collect the key, and then you can use those keys in lockers where the nurse who upgrades you is, and then like you'll find more ammo, weapon caches, things like that. So I found that it was really cool, just like
it's worth exploring the dead ends essentially.
Yeah, and also because you get like green goo, like experience from killing things. So if you do explore a little bit and you manage to kill like a few extra things, then it means that you can just upgrade yourself a bit better. Right.
Okay. Do the monsters like resupply? Do they respawn rather, or is it once you go through an area and clear it, it's clean for your next pass through?
I think it stays clean until you finish the chapter.
Right. Okay. And then it repopulates.
Yeah, and then when you pass through for the story, it will repopulate them, because I remember one point everything was clear. I finished a chapter and I was heading back the way I came, and they just sort of like started crawling out the floor.
Right.
There was like a little cutscene showing that they were crawling out the floor, and then everything was just repopulated again, but they were all in different areas.
That's a common thing in it from Shinji Mikami. Like, he'll use areas, and he'll slightly change it up so like you think it's safe, and then you'll run through and like the zombie arms will come through, or there'll be another boss or something. It's like, oh fuck. Like, it sets you off like you weren't expecting it.
Yeah, it keeps you on your toes.
Yeah. An important part of these games is like general aesthetic, like graphics and music. How was that?
It looks great. Like, I'm really impressed with how it looks. The facial animations and things like that are very Resident Evil.
Right.
It's just what you expect. But the lighting is absolutely gorgeous. Like, the lighting is superb. The atmosphere is great. Like, the music was awesome. Like, nothing stands out to me music-wise, because it was just sort of mixed in with the ambience.
Right.
And it really helped sort of create this like air of tension and suspense that was going on.
Yeah, unsettling.
You can always like remember really bad music or like a jingle, but this just kind of felt a whole part of the experience, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, it feels very organic, like it's believable.
Yeah, but like graphically it's a really nice looking game as well.
I'm guessing it's got like a filter over it, like grainy or something like that, because a lot of horror stuff does that.
I don't want to say yes or no on that, because I think it does, but I don't know if that's just because the video I've been watching back from it's a little bit lower res.
Yeah, it's so subtle that you don't really notice it.
Yeah, but it looks lovely. It's fucked up as well. Like, some of the moments in it, some of the creature moments and stuff is just really dark. like just really vile, like Silent Hill level weirdness.
Has there been any points where you've just been like, nope, that's it, off it goes, like because of how freaky it's been, or Joe, you've seen something and it's like, nah, I can't do this?
There's been times where something has literally just going, what the fuck? No, this is horrible.
Right.
But nothing's made me turn it off. Like, I've always kept going. Because it's such a good game, I've just wanted to keep playing it, and I've wanted to keep pushing forward. But there's something in the first hour that's just fucking horrible. Like, it's the first time you come across the Lost, and it's just this really messed up scene where she's like force feeding this dead kid and just like smashing his face against the table because he's not eating. You see it a bit in the trailer. It's vile. Like, me and Elliot played the first hour together, and we were just sat there like, this is wrong on so many levels. This is wrong.
Here's a question. Normally, when you play horror games, even though there's monsters present, there's normally humans present that are equally as fucking disturbing. Thinking back to like Silent Hill 2 and the Resident Evil games, do you know, where it's like these are unsettling people, like the horror's got to them essentially, Joe. They've gone mad. Is there anything like that?
That would be going into spoilers territory.
Oh right, okay. So I'm going to take that as a yes.
Yeah, there is, but it all gets explained in the story. Like, it's a big part of the story, basically. Right. So I don't want to go too much into it because I went into the game blind, and yeah, when all this stuff came out, I was like, oh, this is really interesting.
So what about replayability? Have you gone through more than one time, or is it a one and done?
It's a one and done for now.
Right.
But when you finish, there's a new game plus.
Right.
And I think you can go back into it with your leveling as was when it finished.
Uh-huh.
So it's possible to replay it on Game Plus and power up more, and I think the challenge will increase because it's New Game Plus. So there is stuff there for you if you do want to go through it again and again.
I'm guessing there's more than one ending?
No, there's just the one ending that I'm aware of.
Oh wow, that's surprising, because like you think that a game with like apparent choices in it and stuff, there would be. So who would you recommend this game to? Like, who's it for fans of?
Definitely for fans of survival horror. So Resident Evil 4 especially, the Silent Hill games up to 3.
Dead Space,
definitely the first
one.
What
about Outsiders? Like, well, that's more arcadey, but like Gears of War's quite gory. It's like got horror leanings. Would you recommend for
Probably, if you like a slower paced game.
Right.
And even like stealth, like Metal Gear and Splinter Cell, like the stealth in it's really good. So really, if you just like, a solidly made third-person action game with stealth elements in it.
The Last of Us, like that style of...
Yeah, without a doubt.
So what are the biggest pros to this game?
I really enjoyed the story. I thought that was really interesting, and the way that the world shifts as, it's all set piece, but the way that the world twists and turns as you're making your way through chapters was really interesting. It really grabbed me. The action, the tension, the stealth really worked.
What about the accessibility? Like, pulling people around corners. Does that all control really, really well? Is that a pro? Or does it feel fluid?
Yeah. I mean, it can clip a little bit.
Right. Like,
if you've got something lined up and then they turn around a little bit, it'll sort of glitch out and it won't register. But it's very minor. Like, it doesn't happen all the time.
And what about cons? Is there any problems of it, like running issues or frame rate dips or anything like that?
No, I was playing it on a Slim.
Right.
And it ran like a dream.
Nice.
It was really good. Sometimes it's not a con at all. It's just me not being very good. But like, you'd get overwhelmed, and sometimes it could feel a little bit unfair.
Right.
But that's just like really minor. Like me being I'd just get frustrated trying to do the same bit over and over again. But I was trying to be fancy pants stealth boy, and then just dying.
Yeah, instead of going for the obvious answer, you were trying to play in a very specific style. And that
so that's not a con with the game. That's a con with me being a twat.
Yeah. So overall, would you recommend it?
Yeah, definitely, like 100%.
What about if you've never played the first game? Like, it's accessible?
Yeah, like I didn't have a problem. So like I said already, I haven't played the first game yet, and it references the first game, and it would help to know the first game. But as far as I'm aware, it's a completely self-contained story that just takes place after the first game.
Right.
So you don't need to know. And if anything, they keep referencing the events of the first game. So I've gone back and bought the first game, but it doesn't have an effect on the story.
Right.
So it's completely accessible, even if you haven't played the first one.
So there we have it. It's a recommend. Go out and pick it up.